You know, sometimes spirit moves in ways that we don't understand. So we look back and realize that every single piece was being placed exactly where it needed to be. I always tell people, trust that spirit's moving around the chess pieces, because even when we can't see it, something sacred is lining everything up behind the scenes. This story is just one of those moments where faith, guidance, and divine timing came together in the most miraculous way. One of my longtime clients, someone who I worked with for about 3 years, was diagnosed in early September of 2024 with stage 2B cervical cancer. Not just 2B, but a very rare type. When she told me, I felt the weight of it. But at the same time, I heard it very clear. Miracle, miracle, miracle. And I remember telling her it was so strong, but I also wanted to make sure that it isn't coming from me or my hope. I need to know that this message is coming from source. But it didn't stop. The word miracle kept repeating, heavy and consistent, not just in that session, but for months. Throughout those months, I kept getting signs, small reminders that something greater was at work, even when there was no proof of change yet. Around the same time she was diagnosed, I was guided to visit a friend who I lost back in high school. He passed away in 1990. His name is Dave. He's been around me since his passing, guiding me and supporting me through my life. He's buried at Holy Sepulchre Cemetery. I've never visited his grave before, but I had this pull, this nudge that I needed to go. So on September 19th, right around the time she's diagnosed, I felt called to go there. Like he was reminding me that he still supports me from the other side, and I know he does. I shed some tears, had flashbacks of laughs from high school, and all the ways that he's helped me. I did a lot of energy work and clearing too. Fast forward a few months, my client finishes treatment on October 22nd, 2024. Around early January of this year, Spirit nudged me to get on apps in order to date. It made no sense with the other guidance that I've received for nearly 10 years. Plus, that's not something that I would normally do. It's kind of out of my comfort zone, but when Spirit speaks, I listen. The first person I met was named Dave. And of all things he studied and wrote about was graveyards. So naturally I mentioned the last cemetery that I had gone to. He said something like, you know, the coolest person buried there is Mary Alice Quinn, known as the miracle child. The moment he said that, everything clicked. I knew exactly why, that I'd been guided there months earlier. All the little threads. My friend Dave, this new connection, my client's faith, all of it was coming together into something very holy. So I did a lot of studying. At the same cemetery as my friend lies Mary Alice Quinn. She was born December 1920 in Chicago. She suffered from a chronic heart condition and spent most of her short life praying to Saint Teresa, the Little Flower, and Mother Mary. She died at the early age of 14 on November 8th, 1935. And since then, people go to her grave, they say some prayers, and claim that they received miracle healings. Spiritually speaking, many believe that Mary Alice Quinn worked tandem with Blessed Mother Mary and Saint Teresa. The syncs continued because my mom has a strong connection to Mother Mary, and my confirmation name is Teresa after Saint Teresa, the Little Flower. The moment I heard Mary Alice Quinn, the miracle child, I knew I had arrived at the next part of our story. I texted my client immediately. I told her, let's have breakfast, spend a peaceful morning together, and go to see Mary Alice Quinn. Let's go with faith and trust that miracles can still happen. It was January 14th, 2025, middle of winter, bitter cold, that kind that cuts right through you, but we went anyway. Roads were terrible. She brought some herbs, I brought some crystals. We stood there, said a few prayers, and we spoke from our heart. We didn't ask from fear, we prayed from trust. About 2 weeks later, my client ended up back in the hospital for other reasons not connected to cancer. While she was there, the doctors decided to scan her. Now, just before that, around January 7th, they had confirmed that the mass had only shrunk a hairline in 16 weeks. Barely any change at all. But this time, they couldn't find it. It was gone. The whole tumor, just completely gone. Every trace gone. Confirmed by doctors on January 31st, 2025. Now, people can say that it was science, that the chemo and the radiation continues to work after treatment. And yes, that's true. But I also know what I heard, what I felt, the signs that led me to the cemetery. Both Daves Mary Alice Quinn, Mother Mary, St. Teresa, I know how my guides moved me and every piece fit perfectly together. To me, this wasn't coincidence. This was a divine orchestration and a blessing from God. Because sometimes spirit doesn't need to break the laws of science. It just needs to remind us that the two can work together. So if you're walking through something heavy right now and it feels like nothing is changing, please remember the story. Trust that spirit is moving things behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. Faith keeps the energy open for miracles to unfold, because sometimes they really do.